Blast World Final, last event of the year. Are you excited?
I mean, yeah, of course. It's like I said, this is the last event of the year. It's a pretty big one. Obviously, it's the World Final. And for us, on Liquid, it's been a while since we were able to raise a trophy. I know OC and Yakinder, I don't think they've won like a Tier 1 LAN event yet. So, I'm sure that's something they're still gunning for. It's something, Alige, Nitro, and myself are still gunning for. It's been a while since we won, and the last big events we won were in 2019. So we're still trying our best to make sure that we can come out on top and get a win. And yeah, it's the last event. Let's try to grab it.
You said that it was a long time ago since you lifted a trophy. Do you think that you have been at the top? You have won this Grand Slam and all other LAN events. Does that make you more hungry to get back to that level again?
Yeah, of course. It's like a little sad at the same time. It's like it's been a while since you won, and then you think can you win again? Is the game just becoming too hard? Is it too out of meta for you or something? All those things. But I believe we're all very adaptable players on Liquid. Over the years, we've been performing fairly well individually. I believe we still have it. It's just just team-wise, they're just maybe not the right players. Just maybe personal problems happening. Just things are just being thrown off. But I believe we still are capable of winning. Of course, that's what I'm doing here. That's what I'm playing for. Play in front of crowds, raise trophies in front of crowds, and I believe we're still all capable of doing that, especially with some of the fresh players, in Yakinder and OC. So yeah, we're all trying our best here, and we're pumped, and hopefully, get this win here in the World Final.
Yeah, because if we turn back the time to last year at this exact point in Blast World Final in Copenhagen, there was a lot of troubles inside the team, changes coming up. How is it this time around?
Obviously, yeah. No, last year that was during our time where we had fallen in Stewie, and that's when the team was pretty much falling apart, and the team was pretty much done and dusted. Luckily, we're still able to kind of put up good performances. I remember we were able to have a big win over NIP in the World Final or the Fall Final last year, and even in the World Final, we were able to take a map out or win a series versus Navi. So we're still able to play. And. But coming into this year, with this team, it's a different story because I feel like we're more of an alive team, and we're still striving, we're still trying our best, and everyone's still motivated and they want to win. And yeah, again, like I said before, it's it's the last event of the year. We want to at least try to say that we end off on a good note going into next year. You don't want it to be kind of down in the dumps a little bit and kind of be unsure about next year. But I think we're all still really positive, and as a team, we're doing pretty well. We made a lot of playoffs, had a lot of deep runs. So as long as kind of keep that up, the win will come eventually.
How do you think it's going after you have brought in OC? It's a long time ago, no, but also Yakinder. Do you feel that you are beginning to see this system work?
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously when Yakinder kind of came in, we kind of spoke about how he would be teaching us things, but I think he's kind of more just refreshing us our minds of the meta in Europe about how teams are playing. And obviously this year we've had plenty of experience, and we kind of know already what we're up against, and we've been doing pretty well. It's mainly just more about us as a team and how we're rotating, and how we're performing individually and just working as a unit. And hello, sir.
You're talking about me? Is there any NAFFERS in the chat?
Oh, thank you. Yes, of course. Everyone is still, doing pretty well. Yeah, especially with OC. I know I'm sure he's very hungry and that he has a lot to prove. I know he's kind of had a rocky year, individually, but we know he's a very strong player. He's a very important player, and we know what he's capable of. And I'm sure that's something we'll see more even at this event, or even just going to next year, because again, he is young, he is more inexperienced than the rest of us. So and especially being from North America, it's kind of harder to kind of get your foot into the door. Whereas also Yakinder, he's been playing all the time. He's just super hungry, for blood. He's super motivated, and he's always playing, and he's always trying to find new ways to play, and new things to learn and teach us or show us, and so. It's like I said, we have the right team, we have the right players. We just need to, just find our groove when it comes to these events. And like I said, we've had a lot of deep runs. We just need to find a way to just raise the trophy.
Bringing in Yakinder, you have said before that it has meant that you have gone into a more supportive role in the roster. Has that been tough for you to maybe take a step back from fragging and be the firepower to now go to the more supportive role?
I mean, obviously, I feel like in my past experience, honestly, with playing a lot of teams, I feel like if you're in the positions where like you can play more of the rotation spots and like you have more of a voice and you can kind of control like how you want rounds to be, I feel like that's like it's a lot easier in my opinion to perform, because like you have the vision of the game and you kind of see like what's going on and you can kind of rotate and do things off of that. Whereas nowadays I play more of like the anchor sites and all that, and they're very important roles. Whereas people kind of say like supportive, but like obviously it's like I kind of take a back seat. I don't want to step on too many people's toes. When we have OC, the op is very important. Yakinder wants to play a specific way he wants to play. Alige likes to be comfortable and playing like with the things he likes to play with. So with Nitro and myself, I think we kind of just want to take a back seat and just like play like some of the side rules. But then again, they're very important roles, like anchoring bomb sites. You need to make sure that you always get multiple kills, or else retakes nowadays are kind of impossible if you don't really get the kills. So as long as like I'm kind of just doing my job, getting the kills, and making space for my team and having impact kills, then it's very important. And obviously so everybody has their job to do, everybody has their tough tasks to handle. So we just have to just make sure everyone's doing their job and everybody's performing and doing what's for the team and for what we need to do to win.
Because you will have to go up against the Outsiders in the first round. Their first match after winning the major. How do you see that match?
I mean, obviously it's going to be interesting. I don't think I've ever, it's been a long time, if anything, that I played Outsiders in an official match. And I think it's also very interesting because Yakinder was previously on their team and they also won the major, right after you left. So, it's kind of interesting. But I know that they're super good friends, and I'm sure Yakinder is going to be super excited to play them. Maybe some banter with those guys. I'm sure they're going to have a good time. So, I know it's just going to be a tough game to play. But then again, Yakinder played on that team, and he's kind of taught us and showed us some ways how Jame and Outsiders would approach their game plans and how they would want to play mid-round situations. So when we kind of have Yakinder, he's kind of showing us an idea of how they play. So that could be a little bit of insight, I guess, for us. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see and see how it goes.
Do you think there's maybe a misconception of the Outsiders guys? With them, there's this language barrier between them. There's not many interviews from them inside. Do you think there's a misconception?
I mean, not really. I mean, everybody's kind of different. Some players might be more shy, and more introverted. Some, like you said, maybe their English might not be too good. But I mean, I'm sure that this is just how they are. I mean, I'm sure if they wanted to, work on English, or do more interviews, and I'm sure they can do it. It's just maybe they're just more of an introverted team, kind of keep more to themselves. But I'm sure if it comes down to interviews, I'm sure they wouldn't be afraid to do an interview.
From an inside the server perspective, there has been a lot of talk about Jame and the way they play, that it's boring and slow. But with them winning a major, with Jame as the IGL, do you think that has silenced the doubters?
I mean, honestly, anytime the community ever says anything is boring, then that just honestly just means the team's playing the right way of Counter-Strike. Because, it's like people play a Strauss and be like, oh, back in the day, Strauss is so boring, man. They're winning. They're playing this just normal way of playing, but they're just so good as teammates, and, the teamwork is all there. But that's I understand it might be boring, but it honestly is the right way to play. The amount of times they have that extra op, the extra AK to go into the next round. And nowadays in Counter-Strike, if you pay attention to the games, a lot of players will win just off having one AK, one op, and a bunch of deagles around them. And you get one kill, they pick up their gun, and it becomes then they have more guns. And it's there's just more things to the game where if you just look at the game and you can realize it's with the game nowadays, a lot of things can happen. So it's if James saving the op, he might save the op and he might get a 4K the next round or something, and he wins the round for his team, and then the other team's on the back foot, So I mean, people can say it's boring, but in my opinion, it's the right way to play Counter-Strike.
So the takeout is to not listen to the community.
No, not really. I mean, obviously, the community can have their opinions, but then again, the professionals are there, the ones that are playing, they're the ones that understand the game more. But people just need to understand that and look more in depth on why these people do it, because we spend a lot of times looking and analyzing Outsiders games and all that, and why they do this, and Yakinder would even explain why they do this, at least when he was on the team, so. But yeah, I also believe it's the right way of playing. You could go into rounds, you could lose rounds, and then you run out of economy. But it's you just keep saving, and you have higher chances. Even you have higher chances, but then again, it also kind of puts more pressure on the other teams. oh, like the guy still has an op and they still saved an AK. Like the round is still like very losable. Like so we need to play safe. Whereas like if you just go out and die when you could have just saved, like you're like, oh, then like okay, they're just gonna have like Tech 9s, maybe like a Galil or something if they want to try to like do some sort of play. But that also keeps all the teams like on edge, like when they're always saving and stuff like that. It's like, okay, every round's gonna be a gun round, no eco rounds, no rounds to chill, So I think it's a right way of playing, and if the community kind of wants to bash them for it, it's like it's whatever, It's just that's what people want to say. That's what people want to say. But there's a lot of legit reasons into why they do that.